So about a year and a half ago, I got on the subway in Times Square, and it was a little crowded, but there was a seat open, and I had to get by this young man's legs that were stretched out. He looked like Eminem 20 years ago, but without the talent. And he was sitting on a seat near one of the poles that people hold on to, and I indicated that I wanted to get by. But Eminem, without the talent, wouldn't move his legs, so I had to kind of climb over to take the seat, not directly across from him, but one over. And this is during a time when you had to wear a mask on the subway. And when I sat down, I saw that Eminem, without the talent, wasn't wearing a mask. And I said to him very politely, I do this all the time. I get on the subway and I forget that I'm not wearing my mask. So I was thinking that you could put your mask on. And he said, "Do you want me to fuck you up?" Now, my first thought was, I was a high school wrestler. I could go for his legs. My second thought was, I was a high school wrestler 52 years ago. Also, he could have a knife. So I just didn't say anything, but I gave him a look like that or something. Then this guy next to me, right across from Eminem without the talent, says to him, you really have to wear a mask on the subway. And then Eminem without talent says, "I've been vaccinated." And the guy next to me says, "Well, we don't know that, and you're supposed to wear a mask." And Eminem without talent doesn't answer. Now I'm kind of emboldened. There's two of us. So I say, you really shouldn't threaten people. And then this guy sitting next to Eminem without the talent, this guy, and he's really big, this guy, and really buff and just muscular and big. And he says, "Okay, everybody, just cool down now." And I immediately thought to myself, that's who we need. That's the guy we need in America. Not me, that guy. That brings me to the midterms. The night after the midterms, my wife, Franny, said to me, the American people said, "Stop it." The American people were saying to a Republican Party full of crazies and chicken shits, "Cool it. Stop this bullshit so everybody can calm down." Let me take the chicken shits first. The chicken shits are the Republican office holders and party apparatchiks who knew that the big lie was bullshit, but didn't have the balls to stand up to a malignant narcissist, a malevolent sociopath, a sadistic, pathological liar, Donald Trump. And there are the chicken shits in the Trump White House, the ones who didn't say anything until they were subpoenaed by the January 6th committee and had to testify under oath that Trump had been told repeatedly by all of them that he lost the election. Attorney General Barr testified that he literally told Trump that it was all bullshit. Trump's campaign manager, Bill Stepien, told him he had lost. So did Deputy Attorney General Richard Donahue and his lead data person and his campaign lawyer and on and on. They all told Trump, "Mr. President, you lost." Trump even told his aides that he knew he lost.
He told you in November of 2020 that he lost when you were working in the White House.
He admitted, he blurted out watching Joe Biden on TV, "Can you believe I lost to this guy?"
Said something to the effect of, "I don't want people to know we lost, Mark. This is embarrassing. Figure it out. We need to figure it out. I don't want people to know that we lost."
Oh, poor baby. He lost and he was embarrassed. We need to figure it out. Oh, I know I can have Fox News and Newsmax and Breitbart and OAN spread bullshit about Dominion voting machines being programmed by Hugo Chavez and planning fake stories about ballots arriving in dump trucks and a hacker using military satellites located in Italy to change U.S. election results, and Giuliani and Sidney Powell lying in court and have Roger Stone and Michael Flynn whip up the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers so we can have a violent insurrection at the Capitol to overturn the election. And that way, I don't have to be embarrassed about losing. All that any of these people who knew that Trump had lost and knew that he had lost, all they had to do was step forward before January 6th and say something. Or short of that, after January 6th, tell the House impeachment managers that Trump had been told he had lost and knew it. And all this bullshit of him running again would have been done, finished. As you'll remember, that was the whole point of the impeachment. But 43 Republican senators voted against impeachment. Not all of them chicken shits. Quite a few of them, in fact, were and are still crazies. Ron Johnson comes to mind, but don't get me started. And that's how they got here. Again, in the minority in the Senate, despite a Democratic president with historically low approval ratings, despite the worst inflation in 45 years, Republicans managed to lose the Senate. Now, let me go to the crazies. I think my favorite part of this past week were the deniers who lost and then conceded. Oh, I know I've been saying for 2 years that despite all the evidence that the 2020 election was the most secure in history and the 60 plus court cases we lost, despite all that, I've been basing my entire political identity on my crazy belief that the 2020 elections was stolen. And yet, 5 minutes after they called my race, I conceded immediately. What the hell was that? It was like the whole Republican Party is now saying, you know that nightmare we've put the country through over the last couple of years? It turns out not strategic. Not strategic. Now I guess we'll have to figure something else out, but policy, ooh, that's hard. We haven't thought of a policy idea other than cutting Social Security, Medicare, or cutting taxes for the wealthy, banning abortion. But now I guess we got to figure out who we are. And frankly, a really sizable percentage of us are just nuts. And the only sane ones are still chicken shits. Okay, but now we Republicans have to focus on this one last election where we nominated Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker. That's the remaining candidate representing our party. And I know, it used to be disqualifying to put a gun to your wife's head. But he was chosen to be our candidate in Georgia by Donald Trump because Walker played for the New Jersey Generals. Now, Democrats already have the majority in the Senate, so there's really even less reason for Republicans who held their nose to vote for this mentally ill or previously mentally ill moron than there was in the general election. But what they don't know and what I want you to know is something I know. And I'm going to tell it to you right now because none of them watch this YouTube channel. First, it's really important that we win this one for Reverend Warnock, and not just because he's a terrific senator, but also, and here it is, as you know, with the 50-50 Senate, as it has been for the last 2 years, we do have the tiebreaker for votes in the full chamber, the vice president. But not so in committees. All the committees have had an equal number of Republicans and Democrats, and so there's stuff you need from at least one Republican to move legislation and nominations directly for a vote on the floor. And if you don't, you can get to a vote on the floor, but it eats up a tremendous amount of floor time, which is extremely valuable. So if we have 51, we will be able to move more nominations, more judges, and at least take up more legislation. And don't tell any Republicans in Georgia this. But please, if you're in Georgia, vote. And for those of you who follow me, you know I want you to donate to Unite Here, the Hospitality Workers Union. They door knocked on over 1 million doors in Georgia in the 2021 runoffs and were keys to electing Ossoff and Warnock. This cycle, they were the key to our victories in Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Arizona, and they are now on the ground in Georgia. Please donate to their ground game at unitehere.org/Franken. This cycle, we have raised more than $500,000 for them, and we're not stopping until we win in Georgia, and we will with your help. And you know what? It's going to be interesting how Republicans in Congress are going to respond to this midterm, and let me assure you, it's going to be a shit show. Stay tuned. And to do that, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.